true low cut fairway finder. Yeah, man.
Smoke there.
Yeah, man. I could play that. Welcome back. As always, we're here in the Cluboratory at Miles of Golf, and today we got a fun one on tap. We got Wilson drivers. Probably one of the more underrated, underutilized club to use in here. And to help me review it, I brought in one of our expert clippers, Joey Kurtz. Joey, what's up, my man?
What's going on, Luke?
Obviously, you guys recognize Joey from our TaylorMade QI35 video that we just put out. Brought him back in here. Joey is our resident Wilson staffer. I can't think of a better person to have come in here and take a look at, honestly, the most surprising driver that I've tested out here in a little bit. I didn't hit the last DYNAPWR carbon that they had last year. I just never got it in my hands to test. It just never came across my desk, I should say. But I tested this one out the other day, and it kind of blew my mind with the performance. Because again, Wilson is that brand where we hear it all the time when people come into the fitting bays of, like, especially with irons, you'll go grab a Wilson iron. They're like, oh man, like, I just don't want to play Wilson. They have that kind of stigma behind them. But one, with irons, you shouldn't have that because, honestly, in an unbiased term, maybe one of the best blade or CBs on the market. Would you agree with that, Joey?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, Wilson, when it comes to quality product, I mean, it's so funny that Wilson has this stigma behind them as not the best golf product. Because again, one, it couldn't be more wrong, and two, Wilson is number one in every other sport they're in. You always hear that. I mean, it's the NFL football, it's the NBA basketball, pretty much every major tennis player. In every sport, they are the pinnacle, and then when you come to golf, they still, I mean, at one point they were the pinnacle, and then kind of the status quo changed. And as I just said, iron-wise, especially blades, CBs, and game improvement, Wilson should always be in the conversation, just whether or not that golfer that's getting the fitting wants that to enter the conversation. Woods has been kind of another question for the last couple of years. I would say up until last year and then this year. Joey, tell me a little bit about this new line of drivers that we see, how it's different from the past, and what we can maybe expect out of them.
Yeah, so I mean, this is year 2, or technically, you know, it's 2 years past DYNAPWR, the original reintroduction. The biggest thing that you'll obviously notice is cleaner looks. They made sure to get the aesthetic where it actually looks like a modern driver.
Yes.
That is something that they have preached on, where it's, again, as Luke already hit on, it's number one in everything else that's not named golf.
Yep.
But they were that way forever in golf. So it's kind of that idea of DYNAPWR, old school name. Obviously the retro thing is back. You look at cars, things like that. It's one of those kind of runarounds where it's just coming back.
Yeah.
Biggest thing, 3 heads, LS, then they'll have DYNAPWR Carbon, which is their version of a core, then they'll have a max head. Obviously the LS a little bit cleaner, 445, so it's 15 cc smaller than the other two. Big thing is max, all titanium. Obviously the carbon, right, it's in the name. You have Carbon LS, and then you have your normal carbon head. Movable weights front to back, which is new for them.
Yes.
But it's one of those things, like it looks like it's finally has that look that you look.
Yeah.
It looks like everything else. It doesn't look like the odd duck, if you will. It's one of those, comparatively, it's not glued anymore. It just crosses everything you want to look at for a driver.
We always talk about the checklist in here of, like, when I'm reviewing clubs, of does it check each box that it needs to make me want to hand it to a person and say, hey, test this out. Wilson, again, in that driver portion of their line of clubs, hasn't always checked every single one of those boxes, whether it be sound, look, feel. There's always, performance has been there. We've seen it perform for certain people. Normally for the person that doesn't have the fastest club head speed.
100%.
That's going to be the number one thing we're looking at today as we kind of get into what to expect out of each of these heads. For me today, the measure is going to be efficiency. In terms of, I don't want to look at, like, overall speed of, like, am I hitting 170 with these drivers? Again, I'm not going to be as fast as I normally am in these conditions. Again, it's maybe 15 degrees outside. I'm in the middle of some swing changes. That's taking my speed down a little bit. So again, I'm not looking for, like, top end speed. We're looking at efficiency today of, am I getting the most out of these drivers? Joey talked a little bit about changes, and something I'm very excited to see and test out myself is the swappable weights that we see specifically in the LS and then their carbon, or how we want to say core head. That's been the status quo as of late too, of getting, they didn't have a sliding weight, but companies getting 2 or 3 weights, depending on that company, to swap around and change center of gravity. I think that's what we're going to see going forward. There is no need to put a sliding mechanism in a club head anymore when we can achieve the same thing with swappable weights, knowing where we're going to have CG. And then even into their max head, their ultra forgiveness, That weight system, I'm going to have you talk about in a second. That was really impressive. What are we going to see with that weighting system?
Yeah, so their max is their version of, right, the 10K term that everyone's thrown around for the last, 13, 14 months.
Yeah.
Their big difference in their max versus some of the competitors that we all know of is the fact that it's not just neutral. We can actually flip it where CG will move more towards heel. So again, their version of a 10K is that ability to also help someone that maybe is more of your quote-unquote slicer or struggles with that big right. Having something where we can actually move CG but still keep that quote-unquote 10K stability, that's different compared to the field. Obviously, the big deal with 10K is heavy back weight, flatter profile, more friendly, right? But that context of having it, it's the only one that has it. I mean, it's funny because, again, right, it says Wilson. Yeah. That's the beauty of it.
Yep. I don't want to waste a lot of time talking tech specs again because this isn't something where we're seeing a lot of like major changes, and it's not like a driver, as we saw the last one, where we spend a lot of time talking about the tech. We see the new changes and stuff that is good to have in a driver, especially here in the fitting bays. Aesthetics-wise, that was one thing you touched off top. Blown away with when I set it down and how it looked. I have just the carbon head, the core head in my hands, and as that core model head, some companies I've liked more than others at address. Some have been more friendly, as in bigger profile, almost more shut. This is very neutral. It's 9 degrees at standard. It's how I'm going to hit everything today. I know it's the 460 profile. It's very GT2-like for me in terms of the profile. It's a nice rounded, it doesn't look like the back end extends super far out. So aesthetics-wise, they're checking the box already. I think it's time to start hitting some shots and see the performance from 1-to-1. Again, we're going to start with carbon, go LS, and then end with max, and we're going to kind of round it out and see what we're doing.
Perfect.
A little low on the face, but that's my go-to shot right there that I've been working on lately. A little low cut. Love that.
It's perfect.
We could spin.
22.
Let's go.
270, 299, 2200.
Well, and then again, we're not going to go super into depth, on spec numbers right now. But what was efficiency on that miss?
145.
Perfect. Because that's that miss right there. That again, I want to hit that low cut, and if that shot happens, I don't care what happens. I'm in the fairway with that shot. Not the best swing for me, but still going to find the fairway.
Super good off the bottom so far.
Spin staying in a reasonable window.
24.
Love that. Yeah.
There you go.
I think that's the middle of the club face.
Yeah, that was more like it.
So give me a rundown on just those numbers real quick.
Yeah, I mean, 12 at 25, 287, 307, 146. Efficiency, 167.5 ball.
Damn.
So, I mean, it's right there at the field.
Yeah. That's the first one I've had go left on me. And it's going to happen. That's my miss. Felt incredibly solid. Again, I just pulled it. It didn't curve on me, which is very important in a miss like that.
Still good. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, smash was up, spin was down. I mean, like Luke said, it's pole, so it's going to move that way. I mean, it's still 280 in the air almost, 311 total.
Mine.
So, I mean, ball speed is still there, 68.
Sweet. How many is that?
That's 4.
Let's
Good.
rock. All right. So just threw LS onto here. Immediately, profile-wise, this looks so good. This is going to sound very dumb. It looks like a bigger mini driver. Does that make sense to you?
Is a mini driver connoisseur? No. I agree with that 100%.
It's so awesome. Like, it looks like a bigger mini driver, which it has that. I've said it in every video. It looks like my 909D comp that I had back in the day. Like, perfectly rounded off. Like, sometimes with a lower spinning head, like those smaller CCs, you can see it almost peel in more towards the heel, like pear shape almost, if I want to call it. This is very symmetrical on the back, and it's nice and pushed in. Feel-wise, I'm going to be very curious because, again, feel doesn't always change from an LS to a core driver. That felt very solid, I want to say, in the carbon head. Like, it felt good. The misses on the heel were definitely not as much feedback as maybe some other companies, but when I caught that one in the middle, that was about as good as any driver I've hit, felt. I'm going to be very curious with LS This was going to be the one where I really want to look at efficiency and ball speed compared to, obviously, to my swing speed. Both of these, I forgot to say before, the heavier weight was in the back in carbon. That's just always where I play it. I want to keep my weights there because that's where I know I'm going to have the best chance squaring it up. We have the heavy weight back in the LS as well, just to kind of even the playing field.
Other thing, as Luke just said there, to keep in mind is this would be your standard configuration for weights off rack. It will be heavy back, light forwards.
Yep. Straight off the bottom. It's dead straight though.
Can live with that one.
Yeah, we live with that. Better.
Yeah, that was
better.
that was way better there.
I just have to not suck. I think that's the thing.
Yeah, that's perfect.
What are those numbers?
169 ball, 148 efficiency, 11.3 launch at 26, 287, 307.
That's a drop. That's a very, at that swing speed, that's my fair. Like in the summer, those numbers right there, that's my like fairway finder. That's what I want. Just what I would expect right now. Yeah. That's already like I know we're gonna do data review at the end. That's 2 thumbs up. That we can see those numbers with this driver, money. Let's do a little fairway, like true low cut fairway finder. Yeah, man.
Smoke there.
Yeah, man. I could play that all day. That felt amazing.
Yeah, that one was better than last. Almost 170 ball, 148, 22, 285, 311. But
Yeah.
that's your teardrop fade you keep looking for.
You can sign me up for 14 of those. Please and thank you. I'm gonna hit one more just for fun because I like looking at this thing. I'm gonna do one more of those. That's such a good miss, though. Oh, that's such a good miss. Like if I'm trying to play a low cut and that's what comes out, yeah, that was horrible contact. I almost missed it. Forgiving for an LS head.
Yeah, the only thing comparative, right? Apples to apples versus normal carbon there. Spin was up a little bit, but if it's 280 on a width, life is good. We'll survive.
Into max head, ultra forgiveness. Definitely a little bit more. It's not shut, I would say. It's more shut than the previous two, which, if anything, those sat on the touch open, if you're a fan of that. Head shape-wise, it's not offensive, which is the box you have to check with this. As soon as it starts getting like super ultra forgiveness in the max head where it's like, hey man, that's why we have offset drivers, is when we want to look at a shape like that. Yeah. This checks the box immediately of like a driver that's supposed to help someone with forgiveness, but they still want like a cool look.
Ball game.
Does it get better than that? I don't know. That was sick. Yeah. I felt that off the toe. That's usually the ball that's going to duck for me. That stayed super stable in the air. Obviously, it's going to go left with the closed face. Money.
Yeah.
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 Yep. 14 of those, please and thanks.
Yeah, that was perfect. 65 ball, 2,700 spin, 270, 294. That's.
Sign me up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Solid though.
I had that one miss left, but that's just like, and that would have been way worse if I didn't have an ultra forgiving head. What I like too, I can very easily cut this. So I'm not like trying to like, what I normally do with max drivers, if in here I want to cut it, like I feel like I have to go here, over, and like square it up. Like this is my normal swing and it's reducing my normal flight. It's just bringing my dispersion in. So, just finished hitting everything. Time for a little conclusions / data review. On my end first, again, looks and feel, the only thing I can really talk about in this scenario. surpassed expectations. Again, I've hit them a little bit, but that it's still like in my frontal lobe right now. The feeling of that LS when I hit that, like when I said that fairway finder where I really just want to hit my stock shot, that felt about as good as any driver that I've ever hit in terms of feedback, in terms of everything. I could very easily put this in play tomorrow if I wanted that LS head. Just about the looks of it, the sound of it, the feel of it, my control I had with it too, being able to manipulate it. Everything about that was awesome. But across the board, that max head, after just getting done with that session, that's an auto fairway finder if I've ever seen one. I mean, every single ball I hit besides that one pull, again, bad stuff, it's golf. I'm not going to hit every golf ball on the exact window that I want to, but pretty much that was doing everything I wanted with it. And then the core head was right in the middle, very forgiving. In terms of speed, I'm going to be curious to see what it did to LS. This is where I'm going to throw it back to Joey, kind of run me through starting with core, up to max, all the major numbers we want to look at.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, as Luke stated, it passes the looks, the sounds, the feels. It does all those things.
Yeah.
Obviously, compared to some of the other data gathering we've done from other heads this spring so far, I mean, it's right where it should be. I mean, like Luke said, speed wasn't maybe quite as fast as some other days, but fixing some things, working on some stuff. Obviously, he's just trying to go more at golf course speed, not range speed, which helps.
Yeah.
But for normal carbon, 165 ball, 10 launch, 2200, 272, 301. Big thing was, obviously, again, we kept a few of those early misses that he already announced, right? Those low kind of bottom shots. Still 145. So, I mean, it's still getting plenty of efficiency. And, again, there's only one that's maybe borderline out of a fairway. The other ones are perfect, either straight or a little fade. Once you move over into LS, for example, obviously, again, right, that's kind of the one that gets gearheads going, if you will, right? How fast is it? So, I mean, again, ball speed up a little bit to 66 even. Smash factor 145, 2600 on the spin. Obviously, we kept one that was a little bit more spinny in there. Yeah. But 273, 297, and the thing with that is dispersion-wise, arguably the best. So for an LS head that's smaller CC, it's arguably as stable as anything. So that's obviously a good thing for us. And then you go over to DYNAPWR Max, which is obviously their kind of version of the 10K style heads. 165 ball, 144 smash, 2300 spin, 273, 301. So, I mean, all three heads very similar. Biggest thing is, though, again, right, even dispersion-wise or what you see as far as, speed from most forgiving to quote-unquote smallest, fastest, least forgiving, they're all almost the same thing. At that point, you get the beauty of picking off looks, right?
Yeah, which I'm going LS. If all of those heads are performing the same, I'm going LS. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, 100%. But, I mean, numerically, very good. I mean, very good start lines left to right, centerness contact, even though tonight maybe wasn't your best striking of the driver. Again, I mean, it's as good as anything I've seen you hit.
If I may, obviously, if I can have a perfect review, I want to hit everything in the dead center.
100%.
But on 1B, I want to have maybe not my best stuff because again, I know what my numbers need to be at this point, where it's not like I'm guessing, but having those swings and seeing it still find the fairway, and then I had my good swings to know what my potential was. 100%. Again, that one with the LS, 148 smash, that
almost 170. So I mean, it's one of those things. It's as fast as the other stuff we've tried, and it's like we say all the time out here. I don't really care how good the good one is because it's good for a reason. Yeah. It's how good's the bad one? Is it in the fairway? Are we still seeing the distance? I mean, and obviously it did that 100% on all of them. So that's a great thing to see.
And obviously, I wish smash factor was just a little bit higher.
100%.
But a lot of that's on me. Again, a lot of these strikes were low heel, and I don't want to. The other thing I don't want to grind and get 5 of my good shots to show that there's potential here, because there is potential here. We saw it. I want to show what it does on those misses where I basically almost missed a couple of those, almost whiffed them for the most part, and they still found the fairway, and they were still getting out to that 270, 280 number, which I mean, I can't if I do that on the course. That's thank you. I'm gonna go hit my next shot, and hopefully I'm gonna make par or birdie.
Right, I would agree, but I think overall, it's like you said, it's the first time we've ever done a review for them in this capacity. So if it's a sign of things to come, I mean, it's definitely a step in the right direction for them.
2 thumbs up. This line of drivers is 2 thumbs up for me. Please don't have that idea when you come in here of, oh, it's Wilson, whatever. Try this driver, because again, for the price point comparative to what you're going to see with other companies, it's in there. It's in that mix, and this is just something you got to try. I'm beating a dead horse here, saying the same thing over and over again, but please come in here and try this. You gotta get fit.
Yeah. I think you hit all the buttons there, but I think looks good for 2025. It's obviously one of those that, again, don't just turn a blind eye because of name.
Yeah.
It's like everything. I mean, it's shown this evening. It's as fast as anything else. So
Yep, it checks all those boxes that we want to see for a driver, plain and simple.
Exactly.
But other than that, again, thank you guys as always for watching. Always super cool. Drop a comment below of other video ideas you want us to do, other crazy stuff. Again, I'm trying to do a lot more content, trying to push it out. We're getting to our busy time of the year where I might not be able to film as much, but I still want to get in here as much as I can. Other than that, again, thank you guys so much. I'm Luke.
Joey.
See you guys.